The first time Kael met her, she was curled in the corner of the medical bay, clutching her sides and shaking. Not from fear, from pain. Kael had only come in to drop off a broken scanning unit, but the sound of a soft whimper stopped him cold. He turned to see her, barefoot, bruised, and barely clothed in a silken medical sheet. Her skin shimmered a soft violet under flickering lights, and delicate tendrils framed her cheeks like floating feathers. Alien, young, injured, and utterly alone. "Hey," he said gently, crouching. "Are you hurt?" Her gaze lifted. Bright eyes, like molten amber, met his, wide and pleading. "They said I will die," she whispered, "unless I take a mate." Kael blinked. "What?" Her name was Sira, one of the last of her species, the Lyveth. They were a dwindling race, their biology too fragile for interstellar travel, yet too unique for extinction to be an option. After being found on a derelict ship drifting near the asteroid belts, she'd been brought aboard the Solaris Ark, a mixed-species humanitarian vessel. It wasn't just trauma that wrecked her health. It was biology. Lyveth females entered something called sire heat, a rare but fatal condition that occurred when they came of age and remained unmated. Without a bond, the heat triggered internal organ failure, shutting down their systems one by one. "You're saying you need to bond with someone or your body will shut down?" Kael asked during one of their supervised check-ins. Sira nodded, her voice barely audible. "Yes, it is not romance. It is survival." Kael rubbed the back of his neck. "And there's no treatment?" Her silence answered that. He didn't know why he kept visiting her. Maybe it was her voice, so soft, so hesitant, like it was a crime to speak. Or the way she flinched when medics touched her, yet didn't when he did. Maybe it was because she reminded him of someone. His sister had been sick once too. Too proud to ask for help until it was almost too late. Sira wasn't proud. She was desperate. "I am not trying to make you mine," she said one day. "I would not force you." "I know," Kael said softly. She looked up at him, curled like a wilting flower in the clinic bed. "But if you say yes, the bond is gentle. You do not become owned. You simply keep me alive." The bond ritual was nothing like he expected. No glowing marks. No bloodletting. No weird alien mind link. Just touch, consent, connection, skin to skin, breath shared. Sira explained it with reverence. A Lyveth is made off of their presence, not their soul. They were healed not by magic, but by neural alignment, a synchronizing of biosignals. "It's like syncing up to a rhythm," she whispered. "My body needs a partner beat." Kael agreed 2 days later, not because he understood it fully, but because every moment she weakened, her legs could no longer support her. Her pupils stayed dilated. Her voice broke mid-sentence. If this was the only way to save her, how could he say no? The bond was subtle, but real. He touched her wrist, pressed his forehead gently to hers as instructed. A tingling warmth passed through his body, like a low hum echoing in his bones. Sira gasped, and for the first time in days, color returned to her cheeks. Kael felt light, almost dizzy, but not in a bad way. More like standing in a field during the first sunrise. "It's working," she whispered. A week later, Sira could walk on her own. Her vitals stabilized. She laughed. An unsteady, beautiful sound Kael had never heard before. The crew gave them distance. The whispers followed them. A human and a Lyveth? It wasn't forbidden, just rare. Unheard of. Sira didn't mind. She followed Kael like a quiet shadow, sitting beside him in the mess hall, walking with him through the gardens, even learning bits of Terran standard just to better speak to him. "Are you okay with this?" she asked one evening. "With me being bound to you?" Kael leaned back against the tree trunk, arms crossed behind his head. "You're not chained to me, Sira. You're alive. That's what matters." "But I still feel guilt," she admitted, "as if I trapped you." "You didn't." He turned to look at her. "You asked. I said yes. That's not a trap. That's a choice." Trouble came when a Lyveth envoy finally responded to the Ark's calls. 3 full-blooded warriors boarded, demanding Sira be returned to her people. "It is tradition," Only Lyveth males can complete the bond fully, they said. A human mate is unstable, dangerous. She must come with us. Sira refused. She clung to Kael's sleeve, shaking her head. I won't leave him. You don't belong with him. One warrior hissed. Kael stepped forward. She chooses to stay. You are not her kind. And you weren't there when she was dying. The confrontation ended only when the Ark's commander stepped in. The girl has rights, she declared. She is not property. She has chosen her mate, and it has saved her life. That's all that matters aboard my ship. The Lyveth warriors left with cold stares and bitter words. But they didn't take her. Sira wept that night. Kael didn't ask why. He simply sat beside her until the tears stopped. Months passed. What began as a life-saving bond deepened into something neither of them dared name. Kael began to know her expressions before she spoke. The way her eyes shimmered when she was amused. How her head tilted when she didn't understand a joke, but wanted to pretend she did. Sira, in turn, learned his moods. When to bring him tea without asking. When to tug him out of his own head with a whispered story or a gentle song. The bond had long stopped being a necessity. Sira no longer needed daily contact to stay stable, but she still reached for his hand. Every single day. One evening, watching the stars ripple outside the viewing dome, Sira finally asked a question that had haunted her for weeks. Kael, if I was never dying, would you still have chosen me? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached into his jacket and pulled out a small hand-woven charm, Lyveth style, made of ship wire and cloth. I made this for you last week, he said, placing it in her palm. Even if you never needed me, I think I still would have found you. She looked at him, amber eyes glistening. And when she leaned in, it was not desperation or survival that guided her lips to his. It was something else, something very human.